The question says, in the figure given below, D, E, F are midpoints of the side BC, CA and AB respectively of the triangle ABC. If AB equal to 6 cm, BC equal to 4.8 cm and CA equal to 5.6 cm, find the perimeter of the trapezium FBCE. So given AB equal to 6 cm, BC equal to 4.8 cm and CA equal to 5.6 cm. Now this is the trapezium FBCE. So from here BF equal to AB by 2 because F is the midpoint of AB. So BF equal to 3 cm. Given BC equal to 4.8 cm. EC equal to half of AC because E is the midpoint of AC. So this is half into 5.6 cm. So EC equal to 2.8 cm. Now find FE. So given that F and E are midpoints of the sides AB and AC, therefore by midpoint theorem FE equal to half BC and FE parallel to BC by midpoint theorem. Therefore FE equal to half of BC, that is half of 4.8, that is 2.4 cm. Now perimeter of trapezium FBCE equal to FB plus BC plus CE plus EF equal to 3 plus 4.8 plus 2.8 plus 2.4 equal to 13 cm. So this is the perimeter of the trapezium FBCE. Now find the perimeter of the triangle DEF. So perimeter of the triangle DEF is DE plus EF plus FD. Now how to find DF? So D is midpoint of BC and F is midpoint of AB. So D and F are midpoints of two sides of the triangle and DF is the line joining the midpoints of the two sides of the triangle. So by midpoint theorem DF is equal to half of CA. And D is the midpoint of BC and E is the midpoint of AC. So D and E are the midpoints of the sides BC and AC. So the line joining these midpoints, that is DE, that is half of AB by midpoint theorem. And E and F are the midpoints of the sides AC and AB. Therefore, the line joining these midpoints EF is equal to half of BC by midpoint theorem. Given that AB equal to 6 cm, BC equal to 4.8 cm and CA equal to 5.6 cm. Therefore, DE equal to 3 cm, EF equal to 2.4 cm and DF equal to 2.8 cm. Now add all this. DE plus EF plus DF equal to 3 plus 2.4 plus 2.8 centimeter. That is equal to 8.2 centimeter. This is the answer. Given that D and E are midpoints of the sides AB and AC. So D and E are the midpoints of this side and this side. Now DE is the line joining the midpoints of two sides of the triangle. Therefore, by midpoint theorem, DE equal to half of BC and DE is parallel to BC. By midpoint theorem, therefore DE equal to half of 5.6 centimeter. That is equal to 2.8 centimeter. Now we have to find the angle ADE, this angle. So given that angle B, that is angle ABC, is equal to 72 degree. Now DE is parallel to BC by midpoint theorem. Therefore DE is parallel to BC and AB is transversal. Therefore angle ADE is equal to angle ABC because they are corresponding angles. Therefore angle ADE is equal to 72 degree as angle B equal to 72 degree. Now come to the next problem. In this problem, it is given that D and E are midpoints of AB and BC respectively, and DF is parallel to BC. So D is midpoint of AB, E is midpoint of BC, and DF parallel to BC. We have to prove that DF EB is a parallelogram. So to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, we have to prove that the opposite sides are parallel. So we have to prove that DF, to prove DF parallel to BE and DB parallel to FE. So it is given that DF parallel to BC. So this implies DF parallel to BE because BE is a segment of BC. Now we have to prove the next thing, that is DB is parallel to FE. So here first we have to prove F is midpoint of AC. So here we will use the converse of midpoint theorem. Given D is midpoint of AB and DF parallel to BC. Therefore, DF will bisect the third side. This is by converse of midpoint theorem. So we got F is midpoint of AC and given E is midpoint of BC. Therefore, FE must be parallel to DB and FE is half of DB. This is by midpoint theorem. So we got DF parallel to BE and FE parallel to DB. Therefore, DBEF is a parallelogram. Now we have to calculate AC. When AF equal to 2.6 centimeter. Now we got F is midpoint of AC. Therefore, AF is equal to half of AC, that is AC equal to 2 AF. Therefore, AC equal to 5.2 centimeter.